Mistaking good moments for real love happens more than people admit. It's not that you're lying to yourself on purpose, it's that the good moments feel real. So real you don't question them, you just live inside them. You think, okay, this is what it's supposed to feel like. This is proof. And that word proof is doing a lot of work it shouldn't be doing. It usually starts small. Someone shows up consistent for a couple weeks, they text back fast, they ask how your day went, and they actually wait for the answer. They remember something you said last Tuesday, some small detail you didn't think landed. None of that sounds like much out loud, but when you've been used to less, it feels like everything. You start building a story around it. You don't even realize you're doing it. You think, okay, this person is different. Not different in some big dramatic way. Just different in the way that matters. The way where they actually pay attention. And once you believe that, you stop watching as closely. You let the good moments carry more weight than they should. So you lean in, you start planning around them without meaning to. You half imagine what things could look like down the line, not in a crazy way, just casually in the background of your thoughts. You save little moments, you replay the good texts, you hold on to the way they said one specific thing because it felt like it meant something. Maybe it was a random Tuesday where the conversation just flowed for hours. Maybe it was one night where they showed up when you didn't even ask. And for a while, it does feel like something real. The rhythm feels natural, nothing feels forced. You tell yourself real connection is supposed to feel easy, so this must be real. And honestly, in the moment, there's no way to prove yourself wrong. It just feels true. It feels like something you found, not something you're hoping for. Then the small stuff starts. A day where they're distant for no reason. A message that feels shorter than usual, like they typed it while doing something else. A plan that gets pushed back with a vague excuse that doesn't quite add up, but you don't push on it. Normally, that would register as a signal, but you don't let it. You explain it away instantly. You say, they're just busy. You say everyone has off days. You say, this doesn't erase the other stuff. The good stuff. The real stuff. And that's the part that gets you, because you're not lying. You're just protecting the story you already built. You already decided they were different. So now everything gets filtered through that belief instead of the other way around. The belief comes first, and the evidence gets bent to fit it. After a while, your head starts keeping a private tally. You don't even ask it to. Every good day gets remembered in full detail. The exact words, the exact tone, every bad day gets minimized, shortened, explained down to nothing until it barely counts as a bad day at all. And you don't notice you're doing it. You just think you're being fair, being patient, giving someone the benefit of the doubt like a decent person would. But really you're just protecting the version of them you fell for. The version that only shows up when things are easy, when nothing is actually being asked of them. It messes with your head more than you expect. You start replaying conversations, trying to find the exact moment things shifted. You wonder if you did something wrong, said something wrong, if you pushed too hard or not hard enough. If there was one specific text that changed the whole tone of things. You convince yourself if you had just handled one moment differently, the good version would have stayed around longer. That it was something you did, not something you were just given for a while. And that's such a specific kind of tiring, because you're not even mourning a person at that point. You're mourning a timeline, a version of events where everything kept being as easy as it was in the beginning, where the good weeks just kept stacking up instead of quietly running out. You start noticing the pattern once you're outside it a little, even just a few days outside it, even just enough distance to actually look at it instead of feeling it. You notice how the good moments always lined up with low-pressure situations, easy weekends, light conversations, nothing that actually asked anything of them. And the cracks always showed up right when things needed real effort, when you needed them to show up during something hard, something inconvenient, something that cost them a little time or energy they didn't want to give. That's when the different version disappeared, and a much more average version took its place. The version that everyone else probably gets too. And that's the part that actually stings. Not the disappearing, but realizing the good version was never a baseline. It was just what showed up when nothing was being asked of them. And that's a very different thing than who someone actually is. And once you see that, you start noticing it everywhere. Not just in this one situation. You start noticing how easy it is now for people to be great in short bursts and basically absent everywhere else. How someone can be incredibly present for 2 or 3 weeks and then completely unreachable the second something requires real commitment, real showing up, real inconvenience on their part. And it's confusing because none of it feels like a lie exactly. It's not like they were pretending the whole time, sitting there faking every message. It's more like they were real in that moment, genuinely, and then just not consistent enough to stay real past it. What scares me a little is how normal this has started to feel. Like people expect this now. Like everyone's kind of used to getting a good few weeks and calling it a relationship in their head, then acting surprised when it doesn't hold up under any real pressure. And I keep wondering if that's just what dating looks like now. Short bursts of good passed off as depth, and everyone quietly agreeing not to question it too much, because questioning it means admitting how thin it actually was underneath. There's also this quiet fear underneath all of it, that maybe you're the only one who takes the good moments seriously. Like maybe for them, it was just a nice couple weeks, nothing that needed to mean anything. And you're the one who turned it into a whole story in your head. And that thought alone is enough to make you second guess every good moment you've ever had with anyone. Because now you're not sure which ones were real and which ones were just temporary alignment that happened to feel convincing at the time. Honestly, the hardest part is not even losing them. It's losing the belief that you can trust a good stretch of time as actual evidence of something, because now every time something feels easy and consistent, there's this small voice in the back of your head going, "Remember last time? Remember how good it felt right before it turned out to be nothing at all?" And that voice doesn't just sit there quietly, it starts changing how you show up in the next thing, and the thing after that. You get careful in a way that isn't really about protecting yourself on purpose. It's more like bracing without meaning to. You wait a beat longer before you actually believe someone means what they're saying. You notice yourself watching for the pattern now instead of just being in the moment with someone. Checking if the good week is a baseline or just another stretch of alignment that's going to run out the second something real gets asked of them. And that changes how you see your own worth without you even clocking it happening in real time. Because somewhere in there, quietly, you start thinking maybe you're just someone people are good to for a little while. Not someone people build with, someone people visit when it's convenient, and then step away from when it's not. It messes with how you read basic effort too. You start treating normal consistency like it's rare, like it's something to be thankful for, instead of something you should just expect from anyone who says they care. I remember catching myself feeling actually relieved when someone texted back the next morning instead of 2 days later, like that was a win, like that was them proving something big about themselves. And if you say that out loud, it sounds ridiculous. Because that's such a small bar. That's not someone being different, that's just someone doing the bare minimum without disappearing on you. But when you've had enough good stretches quietly go nowhere, the bar drops without you even agreeing to it. You start mistaking basic decency for depth, because real depth got rare enough that anything steady starts looking like it from far away. And it's not just texting back. It's little things you start being grateful for that shouldn't require gratitude at all. Someone remembering plans you made a week ago, someone asking a follow-up question instead of just moving on, someone showing up on time without you having to double check. None of that is special. None of that is proof of anything. It's just what showing up is supposed to look like. But you start collecting these small normal things like they're rare finds. Like you got lucky, when really you just got someone doing the minimum and calling it effort. The widening part is what actually gets to me the most, cause it's not just one situation anymore, it's basically everywhere now. It feels like everyone's default setting has become good in short bursts and quiet the rest of the time. People show up strong for 2 or 3 weeks, full attention, fast replies, plans getting made, and then the second something requires actual effort, actual inconvenience, actual sacrifice of their time or comfort, they go quiet, and it's not always dramatic. It's not always a blow up or a disappearing act. Sometimes it's just a slow fade where the effort quietly drops off and nobody says anything about it. Like, it's just understood that this is how it works now. Short bursts of good passed off as something deeper, and everyone kind of agreeing not to question it too closely. Because questioning it means admitting how thin it actually was the whole time. And I think a lot of that comes from how many options people feel like they have now. When you feel like there's always someone else, one text away, you don't actually have to build anything real with the person in front of you. You can just give enough to keep them around without giving enough to actually mean it, and that changes the whole psychology of how people treat each other. Commitment starts feeling optional instead of expected. Depth starts feeling like extra work instead of the actual point. And when that becomes normal, the bar for what counts as real just quietly drops for everyone, including you, even if you don't want it to. There's also this fear underneath all of it that doesn't really go away easy. The fear that maybe you're the only one who takes the good moments seriously. Like, maybe for them it really was just a nice couple weeks, nothing that needed to mean anything more than that. And you're the one who turned it into a whole story in your head without them ever agreeing to be part of it. And that thought alone is enough to make you second guess every good moment you've had with anyone since. Because now you're not sure which ones were real, and which ones were just temporary alignment that happened to feel convincing at the time. What I understand now is that I wasn't actually upset about losing one specific person most of the time. I was upset about losing the belief that a good stretch of time actually means something stable. Is underneath it at first, it felt like I missed them. Specifically missed the exact way they said things or showed up on certain days. But it wasn't really that. It was missing the feeling of being picked without having to earn it over and over. Missing the version of things where showing up didn't feel conditional on how easy the week was. And that's not really about one person at all, honestly. That's about wanting something steady to actually be steady, instead of just looking steady for exactly as long as it's convenient for the other person. So now I try to actually pay attention to what happens when things get inconvenient. Not what happens when everything's calm and low stakes, because calm is easy for almost anyone to be good in. Anyone can show up during a good week. The real information is always in the hard one, the one where something actually costs them time or comfort or effort they didn't want to give. That's where you find out if the good moments were proof of something real or just weather that happened to be nice for a while and nothing more than that. I don't think I want much these days, honestly. Just something that holds up when it's not convenient anymore. Something that doesn't quietly disappear the second it requires real effort. That's it. That's basically the whole ask, and it's kind of wild how big that feels to want now.